Welcome to Sarpy Outlook. I'm Peg O'Dea Lippert. Our guest today is Gus Shoffner. Gus lives with his wife of 55 years, Doris is her name, in Bellevue. And he's a man of many talents and a number of retirements, including United States Air Force and a professional counseling practice. Welcome, Gus.
Thanks, Peg. You know, it's really wonderful seeing you. I can't remember the last time I saw you in terms of we used to work together at that great company called Northern Natural Gas. How many years ago?
Well,
we don't want to talk about that.
No, thanks. And what about your Air Force? You've been retired a number of years now.
Right. I retired in 1972.
Oh, my heavens.
Followed by a wonderful time at Northern Natural Gas, later Inner North. Is it Inner North?
It was.
It was for a while, wasn't it? And then during that time, I was able to go ahead and get additional education so that when that company moved to Houston, I went into business for myself as a marriage and family counselor.
And now you're retired from that.
And now
also.
I'm retired from
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Well, Gus, I've known of your activism, both political and social, for a number of years. And today we're going to focus, because we're an issue-based program, we're going to focus on the social activism, and particularly your involvement with the Noblemen. So would you start by telling us about that experience, the history, the origin and the history of the Noblemen?
Happy to. About, well, I would say 25 years ago, two gentlemen by the name of Jeff Ross and, what was the other person's name? Oxford Noble. We're seeing the retired guys kind of get lost in the shuffle, and they invited, I guess...
Retired military, right?
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. They invited a bunch of us. I think at that first meeting there must have been maybe 50.
Oh, really?
And we met in the old service club on base. And we met with the idea of just staying in touch with each other, providing each other information about our benefits as retirees, and just creating a support system for each other. Most of us are not from this area, and so our family is truly those people that we retired with. And since that time, we've maintained a group somewhere around 35 to 40, and it's a real privilege for me to be a part of that group.
Well, that is exciting, Gus.
Yeah.
And it sounds like what started out as kind of a friendly get-together has grown into what we know as a social action organization that you are today.
I think that's one phase of it.
Is it? Well,
Right.
tell us more about how the group grew and developed into what most of us know about the Noblemen today.
Well, basically, you know, when you start thinking about the Noblemen, you think the ones who go to the school are the ones who get the most information or most notoriety. But then there's a group that go to that volunteer with CASA, which is a court-appointed advocacy group. And then there are other people who deliver meals to the elderly. There are people who work with other branches of the juvenile system.
Oh, really?
So it's really really a neat group.
Amazing. Well, tell us a bit, if you would, about the involvement, and of course, as you said, the group that gets the most attention is the group that goes to the school. So
My
tell
favorite
us,
boys.
Your favorite, yeah. Tell us how that developed and how it's progressing, and some of the things that you do there, Gus. I know you're involved in that aspect of the program.
We've been going to Howard Kennedy School now for a little over 10 years. We go there every Wednesday, and our primary purpose is just to tell the kids they look great, we're happy they're here, and we want them to have the best of day. We work with them in terms of their reading, how to give appropriate handshakes, how to look people in the eye, and you know, that kind of thing. Many of the kids there don't have a man in their life. And so some of them call me Mr. Shoffner, some of them call me Mr. Gus, and some of them call me, hey, Papa. So it's really a neat time. And to have kids come and read to us is perhaps the only time that some of them have that opportunity. So we have some great hopes for the program.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
How long do you spend each time when you go to the school?
We typically get there about 8 to 8:10,
And greet the kids.
and greet the
don't you, in
kids
morning?
as they walk in the door.
Uh-huh.
And we work with the kids maybe 15 minutes in terms of their reading, 15 to 20 minutes. We can't interfere with the normal curriculum. And then we spend time talking to the administrator, counselors, teachers, trying to determine, you know, areas that we can assist in. Every year we make an effort to make some great contribution to the school, some material aspect of the school. We've given globes, we've given smart boards, things like that. And it's been a marriage that's been wonderful.
Who initiated that marriage, Gus? How did that come about?
Ed Medlin lived next door to one of the administrators some years ago, and she talked to him one day about the fact that the number of kids that were there that did not have a male in their lives, and wondered if we would come. At the time, it was just for one time.
Little did you know.
But we got there, and we had such a great time, and the kids showed such great appreciation for us being there that basically required us to go back.
Was that the first of your social action
It was.
activities for the organization?
But it was, yes.
Tell me a little bit more about this court-appointed special advocate program that I know you work in Sarpy County. Tell about that, and again, the origins of that, Gus.
As a counselor, I did quite a bit of work with the juvenile system. Got to know Judge Gintler very well. And I don't know if Sarpy County appreciates him to the degree that they should, but he is wonderful. After I retired, Judge Gintler called one day and asked if I would come over and talk to one of the young men who was bordering on being a skinhead, anti-African American or black, and anti the world, basically. And I thought about it, and I told him no. I said, I won't come unless I could bring a group with me. We want to gang up on this kid. And he said, fine. He said, that would be good. So we met with this young man, and each of us talked in terms of who we were in our history and why he perhaps should like us. Well, that started the whole dynamic thing. The kid ended up writing us a letter maybe a month later, writing us a letter thanking us and telling us what he learned from that. And it was very touching. But as a result of that, I met Georgia, what's her last name?
Oh, I know. She's a social worker, isn't she?
And she is, and she's in charge of CASA. And she was telling me about the lack of minorities as volunteers. So I invited her to the Noblemen. And we had 8 people volunteer to go to be volunteers for CASA.
And that's still going on today?
There are 6, I think, still going on. 7. Yeah, I'm not. I travel so much that the young man that I was working with, he was on his court date that I should have been there. I couldn't be there. I was out of the country. And so I resigned. But it's still going on.
Wonderful.
It's still going on.
Well, we have a little time yet. I wonder if you would tell me, and this again is one of the pieces of notoriety, about the violin story.
Interesting. You may have read it in the paper.
I did.
Right? But a violin was a little girl by the name of Elizabeth was talking to us. She'd come to read, and she was telling us how she wanted to play the violin, but she was only in the 3rd grade, and the Omaha Public School will only give violins for them to take home and practice if they're in the 4th grade or above. So we said, well, that's not right. And so the group decided that we would buy some violins for the 3rd grade. In that time, it was communicated around, we talked about it, etc. And a guy over in the CASA program, not a member of the Noblemen, volunteered a violin. We brought it to school, gave it to the music teacher, and she looked at it and her eyes full up. And so she took it to an appraiser, and he said, well, it's in bad shape, but it's worth a lot of money. And probably $2,000 to $5,000. And we got really
roadshow.
Oh yeah, we got really excited about it. But then she took it to another appraisal because she was feeling a little dubious about it. And he said, no, it's made by Sears and Roebuck, made for Sears and Roebuck in Germany, but they had to contract it. But in the interim of that, we had contacted the press and made them aware of what was going on. And as a result, we ended up getting a surplus of violins, a cello, trumpet, several instruments. And our hope now is that since the Noblemen are getting old, so we want to leave some kind of legacy. And we're getting ready to write a proposal, hopefully for a Noblemen's camp, music camp.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, exciting.
Yeah, hopefully that we'll get that done and we'll go.
Well, I suspect that when you named the group after Noble Oxford, you had no idea that you truly would become noblemen beyond your military service.
Thank you.
What a great name and what a remarkable organization. What has that experience in general been like for the group and specifically for you, Gus?
Well, it's destroyed some of my trips
Oh, being retired, you mean, that you otherwise would take?
You know, no, I still take the trip, but while I'm away, I'm constantly thinking about what are those kids doing, and but it's been for the group. I think I could speak for each of them. It has been a very growing time for us. Most of us are grandparents, and it's given us some experience on how to be grandparents. It's also given us a feeling that, you know, this is the right thing to do.
Well, that's wonderful, Gus. In conclusion, are you actively recruiting newly retired military? And in this day and age, are there
want
noble women?
women.
Oh, okay. Good for you. Noble women, we are about to arrive.
You know, if I could speak briefly to that, you know, we started off as a group of military men. There has never been any idea that we were a segregated group just for black men, or but no white or Oriental or Mexican or Hispanic or whatever have ever come to say we'd like to be a part. And so I'd like to know that, the world to know that it is an organization that is open to anybody that is retired military.
Including women. in this
Including
day and
women.
age. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Please continue the legacy. And thank you so much, Gus,
Thanks
for your
for
time
asking.
today and for this truly noble account from a noble man.